Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you happen to be in the world. I'm coming to you today from Australia, and it's just gone what we call autumn, what is called fall overseas, because it's March, the 4th of March. Or when you're living in Australia versus the US, in Australia it's the 4th of the 3rd, in the US it's the 3rd of the 4th. Never ceases to turn my brain into mush when I'm trying to convert dates. Why can't we all have the same dates? But anyway, today I'm going to do another one in my Demystifying website platform series. I've been talking about this one for a while. It's a little harder to produce than it is some of the others I've done. But today I'm going to go behind the scenes of a Shopify site. What I need to tell you is that for me to get in behind the scenes of a Shopify site, it's a little different than if you would, purely because I am a Shopify partner. So I have a partner's account in which I can go and set up stores for free. The partner's account is actually free. I can set up stores for free as development stores, and they don't then become live stores until I push them across to a live Shopify, paid account. But I'll show you, what I will show you is how to get into a Shopify, how to start from scratch. It's distinct from how I would start from scratch. So let's say you're saying, right, I'm going to do a Shopify store, and you have nothing set up in Shopify. You're not working with someone that can give you access to a development store. If you want access to a development store, then by all means, ask me. And I do a limited amount of those for people who want to see what it's like to really be behind the scenes on Shopify through my partner's account. But let's say you have access to none of that, and you want to start what Shopify calls a free trial. So you would go to, forget all these things at the end, you would go to shopify.com, and you would end up on this screen. You would start a free trial. Now, here's the thing. The free trial goes for 3 days. No credit cards required, and by entering your email, you agree to get marketing emails, of course. So 3 days to investigate the back end of Shopify and find out what you need to know to see whether it's the platform for you is, in my opinion, nowhere near enough. If it was something more like 14 days, whole different story. But then again, in those 14 days, you'd have to be basically doing nothing but playing around on that store. 3 days, well, I suppose we can say it's better than nothing, but it's really not enough time. But you don't need a credit card. They will, at the end of the 3 days, hit you up and say, take out a subscription or go away. But you would go in here, you would start a free trial. Thinking. It's going to try and filter through a lot of the templates and things that it's got on there. So I'm just starting. I'm already selling online or in person, 6 of 1, half a dozen. Honestly, most of these things really don't make a lot of difference. What do you want to use your Shopify site for? And here we're digressing from what Shopify was when it first started, however many years ago that is. Do you want purely just an online store? Do you want it to be more of a website or blog? Do you want it to be an online marketplace? Do you want to have a lot of social media aspects embedded? Do you want to be honest, I don't know what in-person sell at retail stores, pop-ups, or other physical locations? Okay. Do you want to have more of, do you have, a bricks and mortar store, or you go out there and you do pop-ups, or you do maybe like markets, and you want to have a site that reflects the fact that you do have physical locations? And why are they asking these? They're asking these points because each theme, and on the free trial, you're only going to get access to the free themes. Each theme has certain strengths and weaknesses. There is one thing about Shopify is that it is harder to add on things, to add on apps, or to add on widgets if that widget isn't natively integrated within the theme. So unlike with WordPress, you can actually go in and say, well, I'll just have a WordPress website. You have like the core features, and the amount of apps, including free apps that you can put on there, is infinitely. To be honest, I've never got to the end of how many apps you could, how many plugins, they're called plugins in WordPress, how many plugins you could add. You could add 1 million. In Shopify, it's a little different. The actual integrations of certain functionality into the core theme files is more important to consider. So you do want to have a little bit of a thought before you go and start building your site. You want to have a bit more of a thought to what functionality do I want my store to have. And I say, to do that, what I say to clients is, what you do is just get yourself a piece of paper, or if you're still using pen and paper, which I'm not, or a blank sheet on a Google Doc or a Word doc, and say, what functionality do I want my store, or do I want my website to have? This, in my opinion, is something you should be doing no matter what platform you're choosing, because it will make your thought processes much easier. Do I want people to be able to book online? Do I want to have a heavy implementation of social media, like Instagram feeds down the bottom? Do I want an online marketplace that might actually have much more of an integration into Google, Amazon, or maybe Etsy or various other places? Do I want to be able to have wholesale accounts? Do I want to be able to sell to an international marketplace? All those, just think about every possible thing you're wanting to be able to do now, and for at least probably 5 years in the future. Again, the thing with Shopify is against WordPress, and I am a WordPress lifetime developer as well as a Shopify developer. WordPress is a lot easier to change if in 12 months' time, 2 years' time, you want to go and add other functionality to it. Shopify is not quite so easy for that. It does relate a lot more back to what is the core theme you chose at the very beginning. So really think carefully about that. And what I found with Shopify is that in general, most of the free themes on Shopify, look, they're a place to start. They're a place to play around with, but they're not going to really do what you need to do longer term if you're really serious about what you're doing. So it's going to ask you all these questions. What do I plan to sell for first? Blah, 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 blah. Drop shipping services, print on demand, by, let's just say it's a sort of classic e-commerce. Do I have an online audience or following? You should have. If you don't, you're crazy. What would you like to name the store? We're just going to call, I'm going to stop at this point because I don't want to go for the free trial. So this is where it differs from me creating it through my development site. So what do I want to name the store? Let's, call it whatever you like. It doesn't, at this point, if you're really seriously going to end up with a Shopify store soon, then don't use something like Test Store or, My Store or something really silly, because what it's going to do is it's going to give you here the name you select in here, .myshopify.com, and that's not that easy to change. Particularly, it is in a development account, but in an account like this, the way you're doing it this way, it's not that easy to change. So call it, tend to be here and call it, whatever the name of your store is going to be. So, and here I'll need to go back to, how does Shopify work when it comes to a Shopify site plus a domain name? I see all the time people saying my website, meaning www.mybusiness.com or mybusiness.net.au or mybusiness.au or whatever the final thing is. They believe that the URL is the hosting, the website hosting. It's not. All of these platforms, Wix, Weebly, Shopify, WordPress, pretty well all of them, they have a domain name that they associate with the hosting part of the website. And then you will often go and buy your real domain name from them. And that then gets attached to the actual core files, which are the website. And if you want to know more about that, hit me up or go to my website, karimara.com, where you'll find a blog where I wrote about that from a WordPress perspective, but it's no different to Wix, Weebly, Shopify, wherever else. So the URL that people ultimately use to go to your website and the hosting part of where your website sits are two separate entities. Now, a lot of places like, hosting accounts, WordPress hosting accounts, Wix, Weebly, Shopify, they make that a seamless process because they'll sell you the domain name at the same time as you're building the site. Alternatively, you buy the domain name from, GoDaddy or Cheap Domains or, ABC Domains, whatever, and you point that. You set some settings that say, when people type in, www.mybusiness.com, it goes and looks at where the files are sitting on whatever hosting you've chosen. Now, I'm not going to go into that today because that's too complex a topic to do here, but you will always, when you have a Shopify site, have businessname.myshopify.com, and that's what's going to end up when you type in whatever you type in here for the name, and it is optional. And where's it located, obviously. And it's thinking, and so create a Shopify ID is what you do if you don't have a Shopify account, and then it would actually drop you into the shop. So I'm going to just going to see if I have a test one. So what I'm going to do is ignore this first bit because I'm just going to quickly add a new store via my partner's account so that what I can show you, it's a development store, create a store to test and build, store name, I am going to put test. No, it doesn't like test. Yeah, everybody does the usual. No, can't contain Shopify. Right, sooner or later you find one that it likes. See how it's taken whatever I've named it and put it down here as the URL and added myshopify.com to the end of it. Now, it's been a while since I did that. What builder do you want to test? If available to access to new features to test. I don't want to do a developer preview. I will do that. Come back and do that. I didn't like to do that. So Shopify have fairly recently upgraded from Shopify 1 point, you probably was 1 point blah 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 blah, but they've upgraded to Shopify 2.0, and there was a major difference when they did that. Shopify 2.0 was built on a baseline theme template called Dawn, and it was great, fantastic. Prior to that, there was a lot of stuff you wanted to do in Shopify, and you really would have to have been working with a person who knew how to code to do it. Now with this latest build with Dawn, is now so many features that have been integrated into the theme that are almost plug and play. You don't have to know so much code, which is fantastic. Here you can start with an empty store, start with test data, non-transferable. So obviously you wouldn't want to do that. You start with an empty store, create. Just thinking. Still thinking. So what's going to show up here is the absolute bare bones of Shopify. And here a lot of people get really flummoxed, whether you do this via WordPress or you do this via Shopify or you do this via Wix or Weebly. Most of what the really good functionality you see when you're on a store is all the things that are added on top of the bare bones. when you've got the bare bones, and let me show you let me preview the store. It doesn't have a theme. Whatever it is. I'm not going to add brand assets at the moment. Last time I did this, it automatically put the theme in there. We're changing these all the time. I don't want to enable the payment provider. I don't want to install developer tools. I don't want to add payment. I don't want to add a logo. So basically what it's doing is it's jumping through steps of things you would have to add. It won't show me the theme at the moment because I need to jump through these sorts of steps. But what is a default, what logo do I want to add on here? Let's just add a logo for the sake of doing something. Need to be I know I've got logos in here. Okay, I'm uploading that. Add a square logo if I wanted to. Colors, add a primary color, add a secondary color. If you're just playing around, they don't matter. But if you're not playing around, then as part of this process, before you go set up a site, you should have already defined your brand assets. Part of your brand assets is, what is my main colors? Usually it's two or three are usually your main colors. You usually have like a pop color, a really bright piece of color. And then you also normally have like a secondary color. So if we go to my Pet Care Magic store, which many of you have seen, I have, this is like my pop color, this bright purple that I'd use a lot. And then I use my secondary color. Can I find it here? Probably not. I've added the sort of pinking would be my third color, but I usually have another color, and it's not showing up here on anything I've got. We do less color sort of stuff on Shopify than we do on WordPress. On WordPress, we do a whole lot more articles. Might have done it in articles. No, it's not working. I'll show you something else. So Karima, this is my business website where you'll see a lot of this again, same pop color. I think it's slightly different tonings. And my secondary color is this greeny color. And then of course then white, and then gray is my sort of my third color. White and black are usually implied. So you see, you end up with branding. So that's, as you can see, I'm using the different colors. The purple to make things pop, to make people notice them. The green because it just fits in with the energy of my site. So that's what you would want to define there. Again, you can start to add all this stuff later on as well. A key image, add a cover image. We don't want to do that. We don't want to add a slogan. We don't want to add a short description. Social links. So we're going to save. Add a custom domain. Now this is where what it's doing, it's asking to, it's basically, this is where Shopify is asking to have you go and buy or connect a domain. This is what I said, there are two, this is the URL that will forever, be associated with the hosting of this site on Shopify, but there will be a domain. Normally it would be, like, well, in the case of Pet Care Magic, the Shopify site is, and you can't see it from the front end, the Shopify site is petcaremagic.com, my Shopify, petcaremagic/myshopify.com. The domain petcaremagic.com and a couple of other domains have been connected up to it. So here it's sort of saying, don't do this right now if you're going to play. Just ignore this right now if you're just going to play. Oh, you can change. That's new. Last time I've done this, I couldn't change to a. I've always found it very hard to change to my Shopify. That's why I usually say think about it carefully first. I don't know if you can get to that later on. So you either buy one from them or you connect one that you own somewhere else. But as I say, don't do that right now. Add your first product. So let's go back to, let's see if the online store will show now. Ah, right, now it is. So this is a bare bones Shopify store. Demo store, that's where we put that in. It does catalog and it does contact as the menu items. It's pretty sure this will be on Dawn, so let's go and have a look at it. So it's automatically installed Dawn. That's the baseline now for every brand new Shopify install, which is what we're looking at here. This is Dawn. We've got an image banner. Now, you will see as I go further along into this, all of these things can be taken away or added to. It's not as easy to do that on Shopify as it is on, say, Wix or Weebly or WordPress. It's still doable, but and Shopify's come a long way, trust me, but it's not as easy. This is why I say be careful about what theme or what template theme you're going to add right at the very beginning. So this is bare bones. There is no template added to this yet. It's doing featured products. It's pulling in examples of products, quick links, info, our mission, subscribe, and basically no footer. So let's go into here. So that's what we call the front end of the store. On the back end, and I'm just going to go back out of that so you can see how I got to there. So on the top back end of a Shopify account, the admin part of it, you're going to have home, orders, products, customers, content, analyticals, marketing, discounts. Normally that's going to be I'm trying to go to normally you have to click on, let's go back so I can show you what. Right, so this is what you will normally see on the back end. Home, orders, products, customers, content, analyticals, marketing, discount, online store, add apps, settings. The settings are pretty obvious. They're store details. These are all the business detail stuff. Do you have an ABN? What's the profile name? What's your phone? What's your contact email, sender email, etc., etc. Billing information. What currency? This is important to set. It's the currency for the currency your products are sold in, and it's going to dictate the currency that gets demonstrated forever through your site. One of the big downsides of Shopify for us here in Australia is that if we're here in Australia, and our currency is obviously Australian dollars, and we're selling into the US, Shopify has a big limitation for us when it comes to trying to sell in AUD and trying to sell in US dollars or pound sterling or New Zealand dollars or the various others. You tend to have to set the store currency, the baseline store currency, by where you're located. It's something that the normal Shopify, which is the Shopify Basic, as distinct from Shopify Plus, really has a bit of a limitation in. Obviously, set your time zones, set your Sydney is 11. Sydney's 10. Set whether you're metric or imperial. Set what your default rate is. I don't know that I've ever done the ID format on the order ID format. So it's basically looking at all of the sort of the major things that control the business side of it. What plan you're on. At the moment, it should come up with plan. There's no payment method. It's a development store. When is the billing going to be? Billing currency. So because I'm on a development store and a Shopify partners account, it's $0 every 30 days. The advantage I have as a Shopify partner is that I can have a development store sitting here costing nothing. So if you're wanting to play around with it, this is one reason why you will go to a Shopify partner. If you want to play around and you want to build a store out over time, you can go work with a Shopify partner. And these literally development stores, I've had development stores sit on here, my Pet Care Magic one. It literally sat as a development store until I took it live for like 2 years because I was playing around and didn't pull my finger out and get things done. And it stayed at $0 every 30 days for however long till I send it live. If you don't work through a Shopify partner, and yes, this is a sales pitch. If you don't work through a Shopify partner, then basically the minute you go off trial, you are going to be charged, I think it's $29, $30 USD, which is about, I think it's about 30, 35, 36, whatever it is, depending on how many other bits and pieces you have on here. From the word go, whether you're ready to sell or not, even if you don't add on a domain name, even if you're not ready to theoretically go live. Tax registration, blah, 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 blah. Users and permissions. If you want to add staff, and you can add up to 15 staff members on this plan. You can add up collaborators. So what normally happens if I'm working for a client and they haven't chosen to have me set up their Shopify site as a developer, as a partner, then I have to be added into here. And this particularly pops in if I'm going to, let's say you've decided to go the DIY route on your Shopify, and you've set up an account, you've got something sitting in behind the scenes and you are paying for it, or you've already gone live and you're paying for it, you will often add a person like me. Let's say you want me to go and look at something on the back end, you will add someone like me in here as a collaborator. Staff members, you've got to pay for a staff member, and staff members are generally not people who are going to play around with the themes and things. Payments, checkout, shipping, delivery. If you don't know how Shopify works, then all of these are worth having a look through just to see what you can do with it. Shipping labels, Shopify shipping, Sendle, various label formats, various carrier accounts. All of this is the stuff you would be doing later on over and above getting the site up and running. Taxes and duties, who are you collecting sales tax for? What does it all look like? You see all these sorts of things in a WooCommerce as well. Where is the store location? Now you can have another location. So let's say I have 4 bricks. Let's say I have, well, no, hang on, I won't do 4 bricks and mortar. Let's say I've got certain products I sell from that I drop ship in, that come in from another supplier, and they deliver to the customer, versus other products that just trying to think if I've got it set up in here, versus products that I warehouse and I'm responsible for posting them out. Then I would, so I would have 2. This is the back end of the Pet Care Magic store, the same place. I'm using some places that will actually fulfill orders. Then again, as against other places that will. So this is where the Australian warehouse is. It's the default location. It's where things that are being supplied are physically being packaged by us, go out from, as distinct from drop shipping services. So Sprocket is a drop shipping service where certain products are sitting on the website, and it won't be visible from the front end of the website. People won't necessarily know where they're coming from, but they've ordered this product on the front end of the website, and they've paid, and the order will then go across to Sprocket, and Sprocket is responsible for packaging and sending that direct to the client. That's called drop shipping. And again, I'm not really going to go heavily into drop shipping right now. The thing about drop shipping is you don't control the quality of the product, you don't know what the client has got, and you don't control the time at which it takes the product to get to the client. So Pet Care Magic has been set up with a couple of fulfillment, different fulfillment services. You would also use this if perhaps you're using even an Australian fulfillment service. So you're responsible for selling the products and taking the orders for the products, but you're not responsible for fulfilling, for the packaging of those products and the sending of those products out. So the thing is, you can add various locations. The other time you would add a location is, you might say that you have 4 bricks and mortar stores, one in Canberra, one in Sydney, one in Melbourne, one in Brisbane. And you might want or need to know that the Brisbane organisation is the one that's the fulfillment is going to be done from. The Brisbane store is where the fulfillment is going to be done from. You probably have different staff working in Brisbane as distinct from Sydney. So think very carefully about all this sort of stuff. It gets really quite complex if you're trying to do a basic Shopify plan along with all sorts of different inventory management. A basic Shopify plan is just not that fantastic for that. Gift cards, well, that's pretty obvious. Do you do gift cards? You don't do gift cards. Shopify, interestingly, you don't generally do gift cards as a product. You do them here through the settings. Where do you market to? Primary market. What other international markets? Manage account. What international countries are you marketing to? What does it look like? How do they check out? All of that sort of stuff. Apps and sales channels. So you've got your basic Shopify store, and then you've got functionality or apps that get added onto the basic store to do all the various other weird and wonderful things that you want. WordPress and Shopify work in a similar way to this. They've all got a library of various applications that you add on to increase the baseline functionality of your store. The thing about Shopify is that generally there's less free apps than there are on WordPress. A lot of the apps on Shopify, they'll have like a free trial basis, and then you'll go on and add on, you go off the free trial because they do a lot of, try before you buy stuff. How does this work? What does it do? And you'll go and sort of add that stuff on until you see whether you like it or not, and then they'll say, okay, so that's great, now you're going to buy. So factor that in when you're working out what the baseline cost of your Shopify site's going to be. That's also why you want to be careful about you choosing the theme in the beginning that has as much as possible embedded in it. So it might mean you buy a more expensive theme right at the very beginning, but that will possibly save you on all these month-by-month costs because you chose the wrong theme and then had to add on at A, B, C, D, E, and F, which all come at a substantial price per month. So that's why I say be really careful about your themes and think carefully through what sort of functionality you want before you go too far. Domains, buy or connect a domain. Custom pixels, these are the places where you add in pixels that are actually Would you check about? These are where you're adding using JavaScript. This is where a coder will come in. Sometimes you've got to use the pixels to do various things. Most of the time, the pixels we're using are like Facebook ones, Google Analytics, connecting up to Google Analytics, connecting up to TikTok, those sorts of things, and they're not through here. This is designed for ones that don't do the normal run-of-the-mill sort of stuff. And again, you know, Shopify is really good with a lot of their help stuff, and a lot of their help stuff, as you can see, is embedded in the back end. So this is why I say to people, a free account, if you're going to try and get all this on board in 3 days as a free account, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Notifications, well, this is the obvious thing, you know, where does all the, you know, where is everything going to be sent out to? Precise custom data, this is sort of various meta fields that we play around with. All of this is like setup stuff. This is why you pay people to set up a store. Files is the, oh, okay, there's a new file setting now. I wasn't aware of that. Files, content. Oh, okay, that's good. It was always a painful to go down to settings and try and get to the files for that. So the files that you've uploaded to your theme, these aren't your product files generally. These are files that have been uploaded to your theme. You'll see here, and it's important if you start to upload, as you start to play around, you think, oh, I like that image. You think, no, that image isn't quite right. I'll change it a bit. It's really important to always go back into the files. Now I think they've moved it. Go back into the files and change, remove the ones that you put in there and you're no longer moving, because every single little piece of data, for every single file that's added to a hosting site adds on to the overhead that hosting site has to serve up every time it loads. So be pithy about going through and removing the stuff that you tested and you tried and you played with while you were developing a site. Even as WordPress developers, we get to the very end, we've got to be really good at going back and saying, right, I was playing with that, that's not working. Do the same with apps. Playing with that, no, it's not working, it needs to go. It's the final cleanup. Add a language, so you could do, you know, let's say you want to so a translate and adapt app by Shopify will be installed. Let's say I want to have a button in there that says, once you've got to this site, would you like to view the site in French or Arabic or I don't know, Estonian or Filipino, whatever, there's various ones. And then the policies. I really like this about Shopify because it's got a really simple way of putting in all of the key policies. The refunds. So create your own store policies, customize the template. Store policies automatically linked in the footer of your checkout, can be added to your online store menu. Remember that, you know, when you create a template, so you can create a template, which is just their basic boilerplate. So it's not a bad place to start. It's a good place to give you an idea of what, you know, what needs to be said. But of course, it's not legal advice. Privacy policy, terms of service. So you need a refund policy. You need a privacy policy. Every website should have a privacy policy. Every website selling anything, including services, needs a refund policy. Every site, every single site, including, you know, coaches, everything needs a terms of service. Shipping policy, obviously a shipping policy for physically shipping everything. Everything needs contact information. And particularly, as I say, particularly if you're selling into places that have GDPR controls over, which is Europe and I think probably California as well, which is not GDPR, but it's particular legislation for California. So these are all the sort of setup things that you would do. What else would I do once I am in Shopify? As I said, this is our bare basics. What we would be doing was we would go to online store. And when I clicked on that, it opened up the navigation below. So the first thing I would be doing, I'm just going to show you what Dawn looks like, bare basics. So this is the front, like this looks like the front end we were looking like a minute ago. Don't know that I can't do a split screen on this. So if you toggle between the front end and the back end, you can see this has gone into the theme, customizing the theme. You will see how I change all this. So let's say I change that to shop now. Oops, over here you got to do it. Save. If I go over here and refresh, it's going to save. So what we're normally doing, and particularly if you're new to setting up any website, what you do is you have the front end open and the back end open. And normally I would do it, I work out of two screens, thank God. So I normally would have my front end open on one screen and the back end open on another screen. WordPress is great because it now, particularly things like Elementor, they now actually automatically update as you're making changes. Shopify might have, I didn't give it a chance to. But so you learn a lot by doing things behind the scenes here and then going and having a look at the front end. So when I did this, what happened? But as you can see, Dawn here it's fairly welcome to our store. You could add another announcement, which might be free shipping. Now, this is an example of what Dawn brought in. Over $50. When we came in with Dawn in here, this announcement section was all new. It was pretty good. Color scheme, accent 1, accent 2, background. It's not quite as good as being able to really go in there and these accents. Sorry, I need to finish that first thought. It's not quite as good as being able to go in there and actually change the colors on the fly here. All of these colors, and remember when we were setting up, it was asking back in the settings, it was asking us, you know, what are your key colors? You can, there's something here you really want to do and you can't do it through this back end. That's when a Shopify developer will come in. And surprisingly, I use some Shopify developers in the UK, in the Philippines are fantastic. Like when I was setting this up, this is a templated site. So when I was setting this up, this is section that came from another. This is section that came from another theme that I wanted to include in this theme, but it wasn't inbuilt in the theme. So I just get them to pop it in, and it's like $17 an hour, $17 Australian an hour. You know, and it took them not even an hour to do this. So if you do want to play around with the theme, that's doable. You don't want to do that too much, because once you start playing around with too much with the themes, you end up with getting a whole lot of coding it is potentially going to affect your site time. So image banner, free shipping. This is the header we're looking at. As you can see, there's not a lot you can do there. This is controlled by the menu, by the main menu in other sections in the menu settings. There's various things you can do. So you can play around with the spacing. So this is basically what you'd be doing if you actually just wanted to have a really good look at how things were happening. And then you go into this. Remember, we're still back in here in the core template. Image banner, shop now. If you can actually hide some of these. So let's say I want to hide it. I can hide it. It's gone. But again, I go into the back end of some Shopify sites and I can see where people have been playing. Oh, I don't know whether I want that. And they've put it all up here and then they've just hidden it. That is not good practice. Decide on what you want and add it or leave it. Then there's a button. There's a button here. And the button will take you to either a collection, a product, a page, a blog, blog post, or policies. Unable to duplicate the maximum number of blocks has been reached. This is because we're on a theme. You can, get rid of. You can actually delete something within here if you wanted to. And then we're on featured collections, and then we're on the footer. That's it. That is a bare basic thing. We can add a section here. Let's add rich text. Added there. We can move this up. Move it down. We can move it down there. So we can add, there's a fair bit we can add, but the trouble is we're still in a bare basic theme. And we can add a section to the footer. Email sign up. We can add email sign up, and custom liquid refers to a section at the very section where you could put in some code at the very back. This is starting to move into into the coding side of it. The whole idea about most websites now, at the level at which you guys that I speak to mostly are about, it's about having as much functionality without having to do coding. Please do not believe the people that say you cannot have a WordPress website without having a developer involved, because you can, and I've proved it, and I've proved it over and over and over again. And also do not believe the people who say you cannot have a Shopify site unless you've got a developer involved. That, I'm sorry, in today's day and age, is just garbage. You can. So this is the home page here. You can go to the theme settings for the home page. The colors, the primary color, the accent color. This is where those colors were being picked up from. The secondary, and you want to be able to define these before you start going and playing around with various colors, the layouts, page widths. These are all global settings. Now, what does your default button look like? What do your product cards look like? Collection cards, what do they look like? Where's your media? What's your media look like when you put it up? As I say, these are global settings. These are settings that will apply to every single thing that is a piece of media or a collection, or showing a collection, or showing a product, or showing a blog within your entire website. I always learn something when I'm doing these videos. There's bits here that I just don't get time to look at when I'm actually building sites. Do your icons want to be, what do they want to be? Do they want to be a certain color? Brand information, headline descriptions, image, social media. These are where you would add all your social media accounts. Facebook, Instagram, you would just grab the URL off your account and add it in. Just be wary about YouTube. I've seen this quite a bit lately. I'm not on the right YouTube channel, but when you own a YouTube channel and you're constantly putting content up there, you will often be putting it up by your, what do they call it? They call it the studio, not via the front end of where the video. So you want a watch command in here, or a video YouTube, not your studio. If it's studio.channel name, then you don't want to put it in here because it's the wrong one. Enable search settings, show various things, currency format. How do you want your currency to show? How do you want your cart type to come in? Is it a pop-up notification? Is it draw, or is it a page? You go to another page, does it slide in as a draw? Again, I didn't realize that you could do that with I would set it and show you how that works, but I can't because I've got no products in here. Let's So come back to that. Let's put the checkout. Let's put, let's put it as a drawer. Cart drawer collection. Homepage. Select. Checkout. So as you can see, this is all the sort of main theme settings. Custom CES theme style. App embeds. We're not going to go there today. So what you would do, so you would have a look through there. Honestly, this, I don't spend much time ever having a look through here, because what I normally do, oops, stay, I've got to save first. Now, what is set in here can often be overridden by the settings that a template that you choose is going to use. So be aware that there are various ways to control the settings. So what I would normally do is I would normally add a theme. I can either go to the theme store, I can either upload a zip file, or I connect from GitHub. So I would want to, if I'm playing around, I would want to add, this is Dawn. This is Dawn, but Dawn with some dummy images put in there. This is also be really careful about cleaning up your image library after, because if you go to any of these, they're going to add in dummy images as well. So let's go to the theme store. So what I would do if I'm playing, because it doesn't, when you're on a theme or Shopify with just straight out basic Dawn, which is where we've been up until now, it is really hard to get an idea of what it can and can't do. So we're just going to go to free. As you can see, there's only 11 free on Shopify, as against literally hundreds or thousands of them on WordPress. So you can go in and say, right, what does quick view? I don't know why it's normally you can actually, there it is. It's not quite so easy to view them as you can on other. So you can view demo store. What does it look like? See how it's quite considerably better than just the basics. And this is the sort of rabbit hole you go down, you can spend a lot of time in. So what I say to you is have in your mind a really good idea, first off, before you start looking at all this, what functionality do you want? I mean, all of these backgrounds are customizable. Maybe you don't want this fluoro yellow. What you're looking at when you're looking at themes, whether it's on WordPress or Wix or Weebly or Shopify or Squarespace, anywhere, you're looking at the functionality. You're not looking at the colors. Within reason, most things can be moved around. So let's say I really like this, but I want this button to go up there and that copy to come down there, or this to go over there and that to go over there. Within reason, most of that is doable. Most of that is changeable. So you're looking at what functions it offers. You're looking at what it's going to look like on mobile. Everything should be looked at as what it looks like on mobile. So I don't know whether I want to use that one. Let's go back one more. Right, so free. Now, the other nice thing is, and I would encourage you to do this, you can actually go and have a look at a paid theme without paying for it. And I would encourage you to do that, because don't be put off by, $350 US, $320 US. You can go from really expensive paid themes down to really quite inexpensive paid themes. But you want to have a look at them, because you're potentially going to save a lot of money by doing a one-off use of a paid theme than you are by going for a free theme and then finding it doesn't have 3/4 of the functionality you need and you're adding apps. It is just not going to be a good economic use of your money over time. So here's a good way to have a look at it. And you can actually, you know, unlimited free trial. Try the theme for free with your own products, brand colors. You only pay once you publish the theme to your store. So stay in that back end. Don't make the store go live. Play around and see what you're going to get for what your pricing is. So this one's got various different color settings. Things that you really wouldn't be able to do without getting a developer involved. So what we're going to do is go back to theme. And which one do I want? 6 of 1, half a dozen. We might go with this Dawn because it's going to show you the difference between installing the Dawn theme with the Dawn theme is distinct from the bottom line Shopify. Adding it. See if I have to do anything else right at the moment. You can actually, Shopify comes with a password protection right from the word go, which is actually pretty good. It's a pain in the neck if you're a developer trying to work on the stocks because customers forget that they've actually used a password. It automatically puts one in. So it's still only going to get to the my business, the store name you gave it .myshopify.com, but just locks out from all of the search engines and all that sort of stuff. So let's have a look at this. We refresh. Hasn't changed much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that and I'm going to do this. No, it hasn't. I thought it would have brought in the images that we saw on there. Well, that's crazy. Okay, so I don't want to use Dawn. The other thing you do is if you're playing around with a lot of different themes and you're testing a lot of them and they're going to be added in here, get rid of them because you don't want, it's a store I looked at the other day and it had like 1 million themes sitting in the back end of the year. So you want to get rid of them once you've looked at it and don't want to get rid of it. Thinking. Stalling theme. So this obviously must be bigger than what I had there before. Okay, customize. So it's, you know, this is different. This is different. It's not, there's not a lot. Personally, I would prefer to have a paid theme. As I say, there's not a lot of extra stuff in here. Image with text, heading size, large, small, medium. This is different because as distinct from when we saw the previous one we were looking at on the baseline dawn, when I went into any of these, as you remember, it came up on this side. This has got it all coming up on this side. So anyway, it is what it is. So you can remove blocks, you can add blocks, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to save that. Not that I did anything much. Quickly, because I'm running out of time here today, I quickly want to show you things like adding a product. So obviously there's no products in here. Adding product, this is where Shopify really chews up your time. You can add in products, product 1, and it's blah 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 blah. You can add a file. Yeah, I'm going to add that one, and I'm going to add this one. I don't want all of those. And I just noticed this theme is a free theme, but it also allows, I haven't been on that URL for a bit. This also allows videos to go in here. Be really careful about adding too many videos to a Shopify site unless the videos have been properly compressed. It's the fastest way to kill your time. Thinking one of these is a video, that's why it's taking so long. So while it's thinking about that, this is the price that I would be selling it for. This is the price. When you often see reduced prices, so this is compare at prices, like $15. Do I charge tax on it? Do I not charge tax? I can add in cost per item. Customers won't see this, obviously. So it helps you do all your margins and things behind the scenes. Do I want to track quantity? If I'm selling virtual services, I don't want to track quantity. What shop location do I want to have it going to? Do I continue to sell when it's out of stock? Does it have an SKU or barcode? What is the shipping weight? Really useful if that is something that I need to be taking account of when I was, packaging these. Is it a digital product or service? And then you've got things like variant. What size is it? It might come in small. This is where I find Shopify so much better than WooCommerce. Adding variants is painful on WooCommerce. Done. Now I might add another option. I might want to add color. Blue. I might do blue, pink, red. Done. Now it's automatically going to add to me. I've got two variants. So it's automatically going to add small blue, small pink, small red, medium blue, medium pink, medium red, large blue, large pink, large red. And it's automatically just picked up the things I said. This is what I love Shopify. It just does all this so well. How many are available? The other quick thing while I'm here, it's just a little digress, is that, this is the video. I'm going to say, how Shopify natively does SEO is that anything you put up here, so the title, and anything you put here becomes your SEO. Can you see how problematic that could be? Product one and some descriptions. And we tend to write the descriptions of a product in a way in which it is not conducive to good SEO. So yes, it's time consuming, but what you've got to do is go in and manually edit all of your SEO. So, or keep that in mind. Honestly, I'm not that good at doing it, but keep that in mind when you're actually writing your product descriptions. The fact that your product descriptions are going to automatically become your SEO. Do we product category? We don't have any collections. We don't have any collections added. Added product one. You can add another one. You can view products. You can add packaging. You can duplicate it. We'll preview it just to have a look at it. We haven't done it properly. We haven't done a product one. Active, 0 in store. Collections is, we're going to create a collection. We're just going to call it new products. And again, it's really helpful. Blah, 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 blah. We want to add them manually. See how it's also picked up the search engines, search SEO things down here the same way. Set your SEO for your collections, please, people. It's important because any of the search engines, they're scrolling through all of these. They're picking up everything that has got an SEO listing down here. They're picking all of that up. Again, I saw a site the other day, stacks of collections, not one SEO on any collection. And what was it doing to its SEO results? It was killing it, absolutely murdering it. You can put images and things to your collections. To be honest, I tend to do that later. Now let's go back to that product. And I won't go into bulk edit now. I've just decided because we're already up to an hour. What I'm going to do is split this into two. Not today, but at a later date, I'll do the more advanced features of the Shopify store. Bulk edit I use a lot once I've got a lot of products in there. So we're going to go here and collections. We're going to add this to, we don't want it on home page. We're going to add it to new products. Because there's all sorts of stuff over here you should really be setting. So let's preview this now and see what we come up with. Still getting page not found. Why is that? There it is. Sold out because we don't actually have any it wasn't set for quantities behind the scenes. Not this, that's pretty yucky way it's displaying photos, but anyway, which is why you wouldn't really want to be using this free theme. So I might call it quits at that stage because there is just so much more we could be looking at here. Oh, I just wanted to, before I did that, hang on. I've got to do on hand. Let's do one on hand. Where are we? Should have done the on hand before I put in all the variants, shouldn't I? Just want to have a look at the cart settings I set to see how that comes out. Just sometimes when you're using preview, oh, I can't buy this because it's actually not, it's on the store's not live. Add to cart. Yeah, that was the drawer. Comes in as a drawer. Other ones, there was the page setting. So if we go back to can't remember where I saw that now. It's over here. So I had it set to drawer. Save it to page. Comes up as a full page. See the difference? So if you really like drawers sliding in, again, that is a feature that I think either I've never noticed it before, which is entirely possible, or it's new. Probably is when I do these videos, I then find things I never noticed before, and I go back and start playing with my own stores. Great. To me, pop up on page, I don't know whether it's just because it's not rude out of the cart. Ah, that's a pop-up. Right, okay. Interesting. All right, so that's probably enough of me rabbiting on for now. What I am going to do is come back on another day and show you a little bit more about this back end of Shopify, because as you can see, there is a lot to it. I don't honestly, if you want to have a Shopify store, even if you're gonna get one built for you, I still would encourage you to go and play around with one. Go and have a look at it, because the more you know about what a developer or a designer or an agency or whoever you choose, even a VA, there's no reason why a VA can't do this. I've had VAs build Shopify sites for me. Again, under supervision, but nonetheless, I have had them do it. Go through, and the more you know about what you're doing, the more you can ultimately get the product at the end of time that is going to be more like what you want it to be. If you go in and you get a product and you don't give really clear indications of what you want, how you want, what your ultimate goals is, then don't blame the developer or the agency or the independent contractor or whoever for the fact at the end of the day they've misinterpreted your instructions. Your instructions for these sorts of things have got to be very clear and very well determined. Okay, so my voice is giving out. That's enough for me for now, and it's getting hot even with the fan going. So I am going to end the broadcast and wish you a very happy weekend.